it just really hit home to me how hard women are on themselves. That, you know, we're four generations really in the workforce and stuff like that. So there's probably a lot of that generational stuff still stuck with us, that we feel this need to prove ourselves, that we have to work so hard, you know. And like 72% of entrepreneurs are seeking mental health facilities, and
Wow.
84% of entrepreneurs work more than 40 hours a week, with the average of 60 to 80 hours a week. That's not sustainable. But we have to prove ourselves, push ourselves. People who have families and stuff like that, when they're working, they feel guilty they're not with the family. And when they're with the family, they feel guilty that they're not working. And when does that let up then? You're just carrying this constant pressure and guilt all the time.
Yeah.
And then what's that going to do, Joanne? You know, it's so hard to step into the world of entrepreneurship. We have this visions of like freedom, flexibility, you know, financial freedom and stuff like that. And then we step into it, and there's all of these like unspoken pressures that we have to come up against, you know, and it can very quickly take us away from our purpose.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. And also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health. Then I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another Empowering Family Health podcast episode. I am Joanne Callahan. I am the host. And as always, I want to bring you inspiration and education and support to help you in your life and business and help you show up as your best self. That's what this podcast is all about, really helping to empower you to be that amazing person. I have another amazing guest on the show today. Our guest today is Lisa Grogan, and let me read you out some of Lisa's bio. Lisa is a highly accomplished psychologist. She is a life and business coach. She is an NLP Master, and she is an expert in hypnotherapy and psychotherapy. Oh my God, all those big words. She is also the founder of Life and Design by Lisa. Her mission is to empower individuals to design, to create, and live a life they truly love. And she has a wealth of experience managing SMEs and corporates. And Lisa made a pivotal decision to follow her passion for coaching, helping others to lead a more fulfilling lives. And her unique approach combines deep psychological insight with practical coaching techniques. And this enables her clients to uncover unconscious blocks that hold them back from reaching their full potential in their life and business. And she really specializes in helping you to break through these limitations and discover your true potential and design the life and business that you've always dreamed of. Who wouldn't want that? Lisa, you are very welcome to the podcast.
That's great to be here, Joanne. Great to be here. But looking forward to this.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, we've been in touch for a while now, Lisa, and looking to get you on the podcast because you have some really powerful strategies that you help your clients and people with in their life and their business. But first, before we dive into that, I'm always curious, Lisa, about the background. You know, why do you do the work that you're doing today?
Why do I do it? So one actually, an easy answer is a few years ago when I was actually doing my coaching course, we did this model called the Rose model, and it was about finding your meaning and purpose in life, and R was for your reason. I'm thinking, oh my God, my reason. And I really had to sit with it. You know, I was like, what a big question. So a couple of weeks after that, I'm still mulling over it. And I had work that day. I was working in a corporate job at the time. I was so tired. And I had a coaching call that evening. And I just wanted to crawl into bed after my day's work. Anyway, I had the call with the client, obviously showed up my best self. But after the call, I was just buzzing. And it was like a light bulb moment. It just hit me. It's like, this is it. This is my reason. This is my purpose. And I just knew from that moment that I just, had to follow this passion and have never looked back.
Amazing. I love that because, you know, so many people out there in the world don't actually know what it is that they really want.
Yeah.
And when they do, if they do discover that, sometimes it can be what other people expect from them. So doing things the reason why they're doing things is to fulfill on other people's expectations so that they'll be liked and approved. Do you see much of that going on in the world, Lisa? I'm sure you do.
Absolutely, John. It's so interesting that you bring this up because it's conversations with people I'm having a lot lately. We are so conditioned. And if you think about it, when we went to primary school, secondary school, and as we grow up, our first jobs, we're constantly being told what to do. So it's like external, 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 trying to get all the answers, being told. And we're never taught to look inwards.
Oh, yes.
When are we ever taught to reflect and sit down and ask ourselves the questions, or especially now with mobile phones and Netflix and all of these distractions, it's just constantly, things are coming at us constantly. So it's really closed that window to just sit with ourselves and reflect and think, am I happy? Is there anything in my life I'd like to change? What direction do I want to go in? What brings me the most joy in my life? And that's what I love to do with people, is give them that really reflective space and just peel back those layers and say, who are you? And like, what direction do you really want to go in? That's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, and look, it affects everybody, I think, really. And I know that you really help business professionals and even men as well, because we all have this going on. And it's like, I think everybody experiences it, from a young age. We're very open, we're very vulnerable, we're very receptive. We just take everything on with no questions.
Yeah.
And even our parents, our parents went through the same thing as well. So it's this conditioning, this hard wiring over generations and generations. So it's not our fault necessarily, but there's a lot of complying, there's a lot of you have to do this. We're not taught to think what it is that we want ourselves that makes us feel fulfilled. And it's like, and I think even going back to childhood, Lisa, you might agree with me here, going back to childhood when we were children, and when we did what we were told to do, our mother or father would reward us with sweets or watching a movie or whatever. So if you do this, then you'll get this. Would you agree with that, Lisa?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And again, it comes that conditioning comes with it. But it's actually, Joanne, it's nearly a two-pronged approach as well, because if you look internally for a moment, our brains are brilliant. They're a little bit lazy. Like, they like to keep us in routines and our patterns and familiarity, because obviously our brain can predict the outcome. And this is where the subconscious part comes in. So it's meaning is good. It's for our survival. But when we go to do something different or outside of our comfort zone, we're met with this massive resistance that often we can't put a name on. It's fear, shame, guilt, judgment. Again, all these conditionings kick in. So we're kind of getting it from the outside and that inner resistance from the inside, again, which is something that isn't really spoken about enough.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because we talk a lot about blocks and limiting beliefs and all this kind of thing, right? All these words are going around, and it's interesting. There's resistance there, and our heart knows what it is that we want, but we can't articulate it. We can't find the words to articulate it, and there's a lot of inward reflection in discovering what this is. And this is what you specialize in, Lisa. So I'm curious, because, it's a big area, and I don't think it's something that we will get overnight. I think it's like a process, because we have to unlearn everything and relearn it. And it's practice and putting it back into hardwiring it into our brain and the subconscious and all the rest. So tell us, Lisa, how do you have an approach, you have like a framework that you use with people, and you're going to kindly share those steps, how you bring us through that, because it's not something, as I say, that we can do overnight. There is a process. So can you talk to us a little bit about that and how you approach this whole area to help unblock people's limiting beliefs and help them to move forward into what it is they truly want?
Absolutely. And you're so right, Joanne. It would be great to just take a magic pill and move past all these things. But it is a process, and I like to keep things nice and simple. And what I've put together is the ACT method, the ACT method. Okay. A for awareness, C for challenge, and T for transformation. And the 4 blocks that mainly show up for people are the perfectionism block. First of all, people feel like, even for social media, I can't put myself out there if it's not perfect, perfect, perfect. And then people don't get their message out there. That's just a very simple example. But people are afraid to do anything outside their comfort zone because they have to go through the learning process and they won't look perfect. And it can kind of keep us in a space, of not moving forward. And then we have the blame block as well, which is an interesting one. And, it's very easy to kind of say, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have the resources, I don't have this. But again, there's something underneath all of that. Like when someone says to me, Lisa, I don't have the time for this, I'm like, you're either prioritizing something else, or there's a little fear hiding underneath. whatever that is. And it can mask itself as time. We find these excuses and these stories to mask the problem. And that's what I mean. It's kind of deep work to kind of really uncover what's going on in there. So we have to start with awareness.
Is this why we procrastinate, Lisa?
Absolutely. Procrastination is actually partly, as well, unless you're really, really consistent at it, and then you just need to change. But procrastination is, again, kind of down to survival. Our body is a little bit stressed about having to do something, again, outside of that comfort zone, that it doesn't know the outcome, it's not familiar with it. So it'll subconsciously get us to procrastinate, put us back in our safety zone, back in the familiarity where it's like, okay, calm down. I know what's happening here. So this is fine. That's why it's so hard. You've got to feel that resistance. You have to get the awareness, which you have to train yourself to become aware. Okay, why am I sitting here for the last hour? Why am I been playing on my phone? Why am I doing this? Like, okay, I'm resisting something. What is it? I'm actually resisting. Say, example, putting up on social media. Okay, well, why am I resisting that? I'm afraid of the judgment that's going to come along with that.
Won't get enough likes.
Exactly, yeah. So then we move on to the C, which is the challenge. Obviously, we're like, okay, well, now I can identify the belief. So something that hold us back would be like a thought, behavior, belief, thought, feeling, belief, or behavior. So it's trying to figure out which one of those is holding you back. And then be like, okay, now I can identify what you are. I'm going to challenge you. How can I reframe this? What is one small thing I can do to move in that direction? Because again, it's not about taking everything on, Joanne. You know yourself. It's about breaking everything down into small, simple steps. And it's just a strategy. And then the T is for transformation. So it's all well and good to have the awareness and to challenge that belief, but what are we going to do about it? So again, it comes down to having those action steps. And you can use this method for anything, but it's about figuring out which one of these blocks that you're falling into. So self-worth block is another one that shows up for people. Am I good enough? Imposter syndrome, you're comparing yourself to others. So that's another big one. And nearly, underpinning all of that is the emotional block. So if we are not feeling good in ourselves, how can we move past these other blocks? So like the emotional block is the foundation that we need to get right first. It's all about saying, I want to do this, and which is great, but like, inside, how are you feeling? And I actually work with people somatically as well, just to make sure that layer is where it needs to be. Otherwise, trying to achieve your goals will be 10 times harder. So it is a layered approach.
Yeah, I love that. And, we can try really hard. And I see people that really want to succeed all the time, but they're not targeting the right areas. And the root of all this is the emotion, and how we think about something, what we believe about something, and where's that rooted in? And then naming the emotion, like you mentioned, blame, and that's a really, really big area. Give me the three of them again. ACT. A is for
the awareness.
Awareness.
Right. C is for challenge. So challenge or reframe that belief. And then T is for the transformation. And basically that's the action. That's where we put the steps in place. And that's where the ACT comes from.
The ability to rest is the body's key to healing. Do you struggle with getting asleep at nighttime or staying asleep during the night and waking up the next morning feeling absolutely exhausted? My book, How to Get a Good Night's Sleep, is easy to understand, it's solution-based, and it's packed with research to help you take back control of your night's sleep. My book is available on Amazon, and it's also available on howtogetaggoodnightsleep.com. This book is also available in audio and ebook. So get your copy today and start having the best night's sleep that you've only ever dreamed of. The action and the implementation, because I love that you have that there, because we can learn all the stuff, the self development books, right? We can read them. Yeah. We can read them all, all the time. I'm just going to reset my video there. We can read as many books as we want, but when we don't apply the information, we don't apply it, and we don't do the exercises, we don't do the journaling. Journaling is very is very effective. And when we don't, and this is how we discover, because it's the subconscious mind and what have you, the automatic writing. There's a really good book called The Artist Way. Have you ever heard of that?
I don't think so. It's rare I find a book I haven't heard of. Interesting.
There you go. You have to do these morning papers. Look it up. The audience might like this as well. The Artist Way. It's one of the very first books that I was introduced to. It was actually an energy uh, therapist. They done Reiki on me or whatever, one of those energy healings, long, long, long time ago. And we were having a conversation. There was stuff coming up, and they told me to get the book, The Artist's Way. And it really was an eye opener because I got to discover things about myself through writing, just doing automatic writing. So journaling, and I do use this in my practice as well, journaling, because we're logically trying to understand, but an awful lot of it is deep seated, and it's in our cells. As you say, you do somatic work as well, so it's really deep seated in our cells and in the subconscious, and all that conditioning from years and years and even generational. So the automatic writing, it just comes out, and when you're able to name the emotion and where did that come from. So I love this whole framework. And you mentioned as well doing simple things, right? Because as human beings, we look for complicated solutions. But like, if it's so simple, we think, no, that couldn't possibly work. But keeping it simple and not having it overwhelming, because I find, like, when you give somebody too much to do, and in the world that we're living in, Lisa, it's just crazy. There's so much content out there.
It's
So keeping
overwhelming.
it really simple and achievable is the way to success. I think personally, in my line of work anyway. Do you find that with keeping it really, really simple? I know you did mention that.
Absolutely. It's funny, actually, when I started like doing webinars and stuff like that, I was really bad for over teaching. And I had to like really, and I could see people's kind of like, glassing over. It's like, I'm giving them people too much content. Like they're not even taking the time to able to digest what I'm saying. So they're walking away not benefiting from it. So it really taught me a valuable lesson. You just need to strip everything back, and it's a step-by-step process, but just give the people the fundamentals of what they need. So keep it simple was yeah.
Yeah, KISS method, KISS, keep it simple, city.
Must give value, which comes back to my self-worth block. But it actually worked against me because I was, giving again too much content. So again, interesting lesson. These blocks are
Self-worth is huge that you mentioned it. Now that you mentioned self-worth, especially among women. Do you find it especially among women, the self-worth? And I think women grew up in this world where there was a lot of expectations about women, right? And um this feeling of needing to be approved and acknowledged and what have you is very strongly there. And this is connecting to our self-worth. And a lot of women find it difficult to even charge something or to ask for money or whatever. Do you find, talk to us a little bit more about self-worth, because I think it's worth spending a bit of time on. I think it's a very valuable area to really acknowledge who we are and accept who we are.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one, John. I've seen it, especially because obviously I worked in corporate and stuff, other management for 18 years, and you would really see women trying to prove themselves. And there was even one situation I was in where we had to kind of rate our performance and stuff like that. And there was a couple of girls on my team who were just really pushing themselves to do their best, and the way they rated themselves was like below par. And it just really hit home to me how hard women are on themselves. And actually, they brought it up on the Mothers in Business event at the weekend that we're 4 generations really in the workforce and stuff like that. So there's probably a lot of that generational stuff still stuck with us, that we feel this need to prove ourselves, that we have to work so hard, And like 72% of entrepreneurs are seeking mental health facilities. And
Wow.
84% of entrepreneurs work more than 40 hours a week, with the average of 60 to 80 hours a week. That's not sustainable. But we have to prove ourselves, push ourselves. And then like, people who have families and stuff like that, when they're working, they feel guilty they're not with their family. And when they're with their family, they feel guilty that they're not working. And when does that let up then? You're just carrying this constant pressure and guilt all the time.
Yeah.
And then what's that going to do, Joanne? It's so hard to step into the world of entrepreneurship. We have this visions of like freedom, flexibility, financial freedom and stuff like that. And then we step into it, and there's all of these like unspoken pressures that we have to come up against, and it can very quickly take us away from our purpose, which is not what we want. So that's what I love, to bring people back to that, vision that they had, and connect them back with the purpose of their business, and give them a strategy to make things seem not too daunting or not too overwhelming. And it's important for everybody to be mindful of that.
Lisa, you just hit on something very powerful there, with women in particular, and being so hard on themselves, sabotaging themselves, all this sort of thing. I see it day in, day out. I've done it to myself many times, and I still do it from time to time, but I'm catching it a lot quicker than I used to. So the implementations of that self-sabotage, A lot of women I'm seeing are going down that road. They're high achievers, really, really high achievers, working really hard, working long hours, and they're sacrificing their sleep. I see that a lot as a sleep coach myself. I see that a lot. They're sacrificing their sleep. I don't have time for sleep. I'll catch up on my sleep in the weekends. I need to get this project finished first, blah, blah, blah. And what's really ultimately happened there is they're sacrificing um their bodies, honoring themselves and their self-care, and honoring themselves and who they are and pushing through. Like it's great, these high achievers, and they're successful, but they're in the long term, they're burning themselves out and they're reaching burnout. A lot of people I've seen these figures. So I think it's an area worth mentioning, to really be mindful and to have that awareness, the first A in your acronym.
Absolutely. And it came up on and again, the talk at the end of my talk last week, because I was like, okay, at the end of this, what are 5 self-care routines that we need to be implementing, especially with these statistics of 72% of people and there are people who are seeking mental health support.
Wow.
What about the ones who aren't? And I'm glad you said that people are coming to you talking about this in relation to sleep, because I think, again, women are talking about it because like, I feel I should be doing this. I feel I should be okay. And I should be just, it's maybe I'm just being kind of weak, not, pushing through or whatever it is. And that's not the attitude that we need to have. We need to listen to our bodies. Our bodies will talk to us before our heads will. That is something I developed anxiety a few years ago. I've managed now, but I was like, that's what that feeling was. I couldn't understand why I just felt that uneasiness. So listen to your bodies. And again, that takes time to condition yourself to kind of sit in that space. And if someone told me a few years ago about meditation and stuff like that, honestly, Joanna, I probably would have said it's a bit fluffy. And my God, was I wrong?
Yeah.
Wrong. It's something that I was forced to pay attention to. And I'm so glad that I did, because it completely brought me back to a much healthier space, physically and mentally. So it's something that can't be ignored.
Yeah, I love that you said, women are starting to talk about it now, and even when they're coming to me as well. And it's an area that I'm struggling with. Not that I'm struggling with it, but I'm seeing is still a lot of resistance with some women because they don't want to admit that, because it's like there's a shame, there's a weakness, as you mentioned, that they're not good enough. Again, trying to prove themselves then. And this is all deep underlying stuff. And the word shame, right? Actually, there's 2 things I want to share with you. First of all, Brené Brown said that when you call out shame, right, in order, like you voice it, it loses its power, it loses its grip over you. I can't remember her exact quote, but that's what she's ultimately saying. Like the minute you say, "Oh my God, I'm noticing this," like you're in your awareness, I'm noticing this, I'm working, and I'm sacrificing my sleep or my self-care or whatever it is. Putting attention, filling your cup up. We hear that's an awful lot, filling your cup up, right? But the minute we voice it, we acknowledge it, we're aware of it, you are voicing that shame, and it's loses its grip. And I think that there is strength in asking for help. There is so much strength in asking for help. And
100%.
the second thing, right? I had lunch with a friend of mine over the weekend, and she said to me, shame, right? If you break down the word shame, I'm very intrigued by the power of words. If you break down the word shame, it's me.
Interesting.
I thought that was powerful. Have you
Yes.
ever heard of that before, Lisa?
No, I haven't. That is very interesting.
Yeah, and is like a heart sound. The heart is aching.
Yes. And that's like a really kind of subconscious message within that. That's very interesting.
When she said that to me, I was like, oh my God, I never heard of that before. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really powerful. So Lisa, how do people work with you?
So I obviously do one-to-one sessions. I actually run a lot of free webinars. I have one, is it next Tuesday, called Finding Your Purpose, just to help people again connect with themselves. It's a 4-step framework, and as I said, it's complimentary to attend. So it's through Eventbrite, so I must give you the link for that.
Yeah.
That's what I want, to really help people have more fulfilled lives, understand themselves better, think bigger. I believe we don't think big enough, and we don't dream big enough, and we put all these limitations on ourselves. So that's why I'm really passionate about this area, because it's what's on the other side is just magic. And when you see people getting to that level, oh my goodness, it's just incredible, powerful stuff.
Well, I know you're walking the talk, and I know you really feel it because there's excitement in your face. You're just a little up, Lisa, when you're talking about it. I really get that. And you've been, on the other side of it, so you know what it's like.
And that's the thing I have, Joanne, in many different capacities. I have been on that other side, and that, as you said, it is the reason why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
I have my website is lisagrogan coaching.com. On Instagram, I'm Lisa Grogan Coaching, or just email hello@lisagrogancoaching.com. Nice and easy.
Fantastic. And we put all those links in the show notes for people
Yes.
as well. And this recording will be going out on YouTube. So if you're listening on YouTube, great. If not, it's on the audio platforms as well, all the audio platforms. Something else you want to throw in there, Lisa?
One quick thing. I have a gift. For your listeners.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm very passionate about blocks and the sneaky ones that lie beneath that can mask themselves as time and all these other excuses that we put in front of them. So I have a gift. It's a download, and it's 100 blocks, 50 business and 50 personal. And it just shows you kind of, it's really interesting, and it kind of shows you different aspects or different ways we name things, but it also, for every problem there is a solution. So it shows a reframe of that. Honestly, when you look through that list, you're like, oh my God, that's what it is. That's why I do that. Like, it just uncovers a lot for people. So I'll make sure and send you that.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That is powerful. That's giving value to our listeners. So listeners, make sure you do download. And I know Lisa and the work that she does, and I know how passionate she is. And this tool, I'm going to be looking forward to using it myself, even because look, even me as a coach, I need to be coached as well and do the work, because it's continuous, it's ongoing. And I think it's just powerful when there's people like you out there, Lisa, helping. And I really believe that, we are individual. There's a quote I like to say: individually, we are one drop, and together we are the ocean. So in other words, we need to look after ourselves, first of all, fill our own cups up first, because we do have an impact on other people around us. We are energetic beings as well. But when we come together and when we collaborate and we're at our best selves, we can influence other people and we can have an impact. And I think the synergy of the sum of the individuals, it's greater when we come together. It's even greater when we come together. So I think community is very powerful, but we have to look after ourselves first in order to show up at our best. And I really think the world needs that right now. Everything's moving so fast, and look, things are the way they are out there in the world, but it's our perception, and it's, where we sit with all that and how we feel about all that is really, really important. And that's how we create a resilience, and we're able to bounce back. And that's the work that you're doing, Lisa, and helping people uncover that.
Absolutely. And I love that. I think we're all a bit more vulnerable. We connect on such a deeper level because we're all going through the same highs and lows. So let's just be open, be honest about it, and support each other.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. Lisa, I could sit here and talk to you all day, but we're going to wrap it up. And I'm very sure that there will be a lot of the listeners who will get something out of this conversation that we've had. And people can reach out to Lisa if you resonate with the work that Lisa does. She is a powerful woman. I've met her many, many times at many events, and she truly does believe, and she walks the talk, and she is she's an amazing, incredible coach, and she really will help, and she will keep you accountable. I know that for sure, which is really, really important, because that's where part of our success and the transformation is. So we can read all the books that we want, but it's implementing it and getting that accountability is what will help us have that transformation and succeed in our life and business. So to the listeners, if you did like this podcast, please do subscribe for any future videos or audio podcasts that do come out, and share this with your friends and family, because you never know who you will be helping to empower in your life or business as well. So on that note, thank you so much, Lisa, for being here, and have a wonderful day.
Great to be here, Joanne. Hope you all enjoy. Take care. Have a good day.
I do hope you are enjoying these conversations, and to help me continue pushing these videos and audio podcasts together, I do have an ask. I do need support to help me to keep bringing you knowledge and insights. There is a Patreon link, patreon.com/empowering family health, or you can make a donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description and the pinned comment. You can do a one-off, or you can do a monthly support. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Take care.